video, which I'm gonna react to how XXXTentacion changed the whole entire generation. Alright.
Okay guys, so here is my first vlog. Today I am basically going to tell you guys about myself, because I've never really let you in much, and I feel like that's the best thing to do right now, to let my supporters know.
Oh, and by the way, X had a YouTube channel. He had a YouTube channel. He did, like, you know, vlogs and shit and all that.
Who I am,
In case y'all didn't know that.
and have an idea on the type of person I am.
XXXTentacion always said he was friendly unless you gave him a reason not to be. But growing up as a kid who would fight anyone at the many different schools he went to, and even spending some time in juvie, meant he was never in one place for too long. And most friends he did make didn't stick around. His behavior was taking a toll on his family, and at a certain point he was kicked out and drifting homeless. Being young and on the streets of Pompano, something as small as having weed could get you in trouble, and it did. The police would arrest him for exactly that. Not long after, he was taken into custody again for trying to steal laptops from a home. Even though everything was going wrong for Jose, one good thing in his life was finally about to happen. While in juvenile detention, Jose would meet Stokely Galborn, another kid who was 2 years older than him.
We met in jail. The last minute in jail, started rapping together type shit.
Stokely was locked up for minor drug charges, and the two became friends inside. They would talk about how they wanted to hit licks and come up on some money when they were released. The two would freestyle for fun to pass time and even joked about rapping together. By the middle of 2013, he finished his 6-month program and started at a new school that Stokely also attended, Piper High. Piper was a come-and-go school with a lot of people. This meant a lot of fights. But that's just who he was. He would fight for any reason, and being in high school, it was only more often until it turned into a weekly thing.
High school shit. I mean, that's normal high school. Like, that's regular high school. Like, kids get into fights and all that shit.
Meanwhile,
Kids always get into fights in high school. Like,
Stokely decided they wanted to form a crew for when they hit their licks. This was the beginning of the Very Rare group as a whole. Although they were still getting into trouble, he had something else finally to distract him, and rapping with Very Rare became his new favorite thing to do. One of their friends named Aaron had a snowball microphone and a laptop with recording software on it, so they decided to try making music for fun. Their intention was to make group songs, so they all wrote down stage names for themselves. Stokely chose the name Ski Master Slump God, and Jose was the last one to pick a name. He was conflicted between a few options. It was between Master Splinter or Tentacion. He tweeted this out to a friend who replied, "Are you serious? They're unique, but do you really think they would be good stage names?" To which Jose replied, "I don't give a fuck what others think about the name, it's what I want." He decided to go with Master Splinter, but shortly after, changed it and birthed the name XXXTentacion.
Alright, so XXXTentacion means unknown temptation.
They were still up to no good most days, but they really started to consider music as a way out. The group started writing their first songs, and they recorded whenever and wherever they could. One of the first songs they did together as a group was Palm Trees, and the reason the vocals were so quiet is because they all ditched class and went to the computer lab just to record it. Shortly after this, X created a new SoundCloud profile and uploaded the song. Palm Trees was the first song he would be featured on, but his first ever solo track was named News/Vlog. After realizing he enjoyed the process of making music, it became an outlet for his anger. He learned to record himself and dropped as much music as he could. A friend he made helped him organize the songs into an EP that he released on DatPiff called Ice Hotel. He then released a few more songs on SoundCloud, but would often delete them after a short period of time. X started talking with his friends in the Very Rare group, asking them how serious they were about this rap shit. He wanted to make sure everyone wanted it as bad as he did. They started recruiting new members to the group, but unfortunately some friendships began to strain. X and a group member named Nyora would get into an argument, and Very Rare would fall apart. This caused them to reform under a new name, Members Only. At first, the group only consisted of X and Ski. Together in 2015, they dropped their first mixtape, Members Only Volume 1. It consisted of songs exclusively by X, Ski, or the both of them. The whole tape had a dark and gothic feel. He felt like he found his avenue of music, so he ran with it. They wasted no time planning another tape, but this time they wanted to feature more members on the project. They began recruiting rappers from their neighborhood and all over South Florida. As they began performing at small shows and house parties, they started to meet more people in the Broward music scene. They gained a small following of people who liked how different their style was compared to other artists coming out of Florida at the time. The unique thing about the Members Only group was many of them didn't even rap. But X didn't care, and he stated as long as everyone was doing something to progress the group, like booking shows, doing artwork, or even making clothes, you had a spot on the team. Because of this, the group grew to a substantial size of rappers, photographers, and designers. X would even get into fights with promoters when he would request 20 people on his guest list. Members Only Volume 2 came out 6 months after Volume 1. This time it featured more artists like Flyboy Tarantino, Enzo, and even a verse from Smoke Perp. This was the turning point in his career. He began to see how his behavior, which stunted his growth most of his life, was finally beginning to benefit him and his crew in the form of music. Almost immediately, he began to build a small fan base just off this alone. Although he was starting to see the benefits of this outlet, it didn't mean his life was any easier. He was still fighting and getting into trouble. Members Only was starting to build a reputation as the rowdy kids. One fight in particular would be filmed and uploaded to World Star Hip Hop, giving X his first taste of going viral. But his behavior once again had its negative effects too, and he was expelled from Piper High School. With more free time, X began to enjoy the idea of figuring out social platforms and how to utilize them to his advantage. An early example of this was him be filmed and uploaded to World Star Hip Hop, giving X his first taste of going viral. But his behavior once again had its negative effects too, and he was expelled from Piper High School. With more free time, X began to
His Instagram name was Heron Father, bro. Heron Father. He must have been doing heroin back then. Shit, like.
enjoy the idea of figuring out social platforms and how to
That name is crazy, I ain't gonna lie.
utilize them to his advantage. An early example of this was him removing his songs from his SoundCloud to create a sense of scarcity to his music. Almost immediately, people began to search for these lost songs. X would later talk about this, stating he hoped one day his lost music would be searched for and traded around like Pokemon cards. By the summer of 2015, his name started to circulate and locals were starting to know about him. At this point, he could guarantee a few thousand plays every time he dropped new music. With X leading the way for Members Only, they began getting paid a small amount of money for shows in the area. People from Florida's underground music scene said the Members Only shows were so infectious that other aspiring rappers were trying to emulate the energy they brought. It came natural to them though. They could turn even the smallest show into a mosh pit. In late 2015, X and a producer named Rojas became acquainted through friends. One day Rojas was showing him a few beats, but X was passing on all of them. He was looking for something different that day. It came down to one last beat. Rojas had been saving it for another artist, but he was locked up at the time, so Rojas decided it was up for grabs. X ended up loving it. He went into the booth in the closet, and 15 minutes later, the song was complete. He titled it, Look at Me.
You feel me? I disgust myself. Every day, I'll have no pride looking in the mirror.
Everybody who's playing that song, Look at Me, like, seriously, man, can you my dick in my,
I disgust myself. You know what? It's funny, I love it.
the song that really got him hot, the song that really blew him was Look at Me, bro.
Love that I disgust myself. I eat my negativity every single day. And you know what comes out more? More negativity.
Alright, that's it. So yeah, bro. What y'all think about this, bro? Like, I ain't gonna lie. Like, I'm not really I wasn't really a big XXXTENTACION fan, bro. I really didn't you know, really wasn't a fan of his music, like that he was like producing. I really wasn't a fan of his shit, bro. But the only song that I like of him, I'm being that ass. It was Moonlight. That was a fire song. I like Moonlight. But yeah, bro. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Y'all know the vibes. Well, if you're just checking out, you are.